all this kind of stuff, if you have an orderly business and, you know, a place to put them, I mean, it's an, you know, it's a win for everybody, you know.
Gary, I actually
Go
have a
ahead,
question for
Councilman
you.
Calaba.
So, I mean, obviously, you know the cost of building. I mean, you know, and we've been dealing with it. You know, we had a concept for a police station and a city hall and all that stuff, and we've, you know, downsized. Now our police station continued to shrink. You know, so here we are now. You know, we're actually going to start building that thing, but it's very expensive. You know, to build for especially municipal stuff too is even more expensive than regular commercial.
Right.
I mean, as you know, or you may or may not know, but like our library, we're struggling, you know, the library wants more square footage.
Understand.
There's been a call for community space, whether it's, meeting rooms or, you know, even gymnasiums or any, you know, whatever, you know, for, activities and stuff like that. Would you entertain, you know, say you built a building, I'm just gonna throw out 40,000 square feet, you know, for example, entering into some type of lease agreement with the city that, you know, we could move into a building, make it a 5-year lease or whatever, that could be renewable, but we could put our library in there, and then, as a result, you know, a couple years down the road, all right, we're in a position to build a new library, you know, we let you know, hey, this space is gonna be available, you know, in a maybe a reduced rate or something for the lease, for us, in exchange for, you know,
Yes.
kind of a tip, you know, to give us a little bit, you know,
I get it, Scott, yeah.
we'll give you this price if, you know, give us something a little bit more, just help us out. That
so-
way we can work together, and you have a building that you know that we're probably not, this tenant isn't gonna be in there forever. Another tenant could expand into it.
Yeah, so of course, the issue there is how much build-out does the city need that we throw away in 5 years? But that's a different conversation. But anytime the city can partner and, you know, you become an anchor tenant to launch the building from a marketing perspective, that's great for us. If it gets you guys benefits for the city and the community to use things that you need space, this is wildly cheaper than you doing a standalone building at the specs that you'd be building it at.
Correct.
So it's a win-win. We are all about any kind of cooperative agreements that you guys want to have and those kind of conversations, we'd be all ears. Right? That's
You know,
that's a win-win for everybody.
It's a great analogy because basically that's what we did with the villages of Lonsdale. And Kevin was on the council, I don't know if Cindy was at the time. But in order to get the villages of Lonsdale assisted living here, we had to go and work with 3 Links, or Oddfellows in Northfield, which is the parent company. And they were reluctant to come here unless we had some, you know, TIF financing and all that kind of stuff. But part of the caveat is that they would essentially do what Scott says, is create a library for us at a remarkably reduced rate. You know, so then everybody wins. The developer wins, 3 Links wins, we get a library, but most of all, you know, we got the Villages of Lonsdale Assisted Living. So talking about partnership, I mean, that's how things get done nowadays. You know?
There's been a big call, you know, a lot of the young families, you know, are saying we need stuff for our kids to do. We don't have a facility to do it. You know, there's a you know, the Legion and this and that, but it's not pardon me, it's not conducive to some of these things.
Yeah, and for us, in a building the size we're building, to carve out an area for a rec center or a gymnasium or something, or an open basketball thing, or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that fits right in the big blanket shell of these buildings.
Yeah, I was in Morristown, just the other night, and I saw, I don't know if you're familiar with their facility down there, their municipal building. They put in this new building, and they call it the Great Hall, and it looks very similar, you know, it's pretty much a box.
Yep.
But they were able to outfit it and decorate it and make it, I mean, it's a beautiful venue for multi-purpose stuff. I was amazed with, you know, and I took a video of it and I went, man, we need to do this, you know, and instead of the city paying for the construction cost, we'll let you pay for it and we'll take advantage of it.
Yeah. I get it. That's a great idea, actually. That's a win-win for everybody.
One thing that Gary did bring up was, you know, the TIF. They're coming in, they're paying a reasonable price for the land. We know what we're getting out of it, you know what you're getting out of it. Nobody's asking for a TIF, you know, there's towns that fight over what can you give the developer. They give them free land, they give them a TIF. I mean, it's costing the city hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, I don't think this is a bad idea whatsoever.
This is an investment.
Right.
You know, I don't see why it is, what, you know, we're gonna fight over pennies while there's stacks of cash a couple years down the road.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask Gary another
Sure.
question. Gary, let's say we break ground now, we construct this first is this the 10 acres or is this the 20 acres?
That is a sample, Ben and Joel asked us, show us what we're looking. This is an example building that we're looking at bringing for our, that would be like 1/3 of the first building we would just keep adding on to as we take tenants.
Okay, so, help me with this. So, let's say we break, we do the deal, you build something immediately. Do you know what the size of that first grow?
Our first permit to you right now is that building
It
at
is
just
this.
under
It is
30,000
this.
square feet.
And then without anyone in there, you'll start paying taxes on it once it's complete,
Yes.
is that correct?
So the valuation would be probably a partial, because it's not built out until we
Right.
find a tenant. But for example, the size of that building is bigger than the two buildings together you have there today.
Right.
So
Three
it doubles
times
the
the size,
size under
yeah.
roof you have in the park day one.
Right, it's basically 3 times the size of TMI.
So,
Yeah.
and help me with this, I'm not trying to be
No, it's fine.
adverse, I'm trying to understand. So we build the building and we have a tax coming in from that empty shell
Mm-hmm.
until you have tenants in there, correct? A year from now, you say, I can't get tenants in a recession, you had boom, everything tanks, and now we have a nice shell and we have some revenue coming in. At that time, do you assess that as a businessman and say, hey, I'm gonna hang in there with this? Or do you say, city, hey, I got it in the purchase agreement, you can buy it back, for whatever? How does that
Our
work?
intention is obviously to be in for the long haul.
Okay,
And that's part of the reason you try to get the risk on the front side on the acquisition right.
I see.
This building so far is an unfinanced project, right? If we have to weather the storm through a real estate cycle, through an election cycle, we'll survive that. I think our track record here with you guys for over 20-some years through the, and like we just said, I mean, every downturn and every time the planes hit the buildings, we have not left. We have been here consistent and steady with you guys to help stabilize.
And the last question I have for you is, we talked briefly before the meeting, there's been talk, well, he's just gonna buy this thing and then rezone it, and he's gonna put houses in there. And you told me that houses won't work, right, Gary?
We have no intention of putting houses in your industrial park. That industrial park is graded,
what you
water,
told me.
sewer, stormwater calculations, the ponding is complete. That industrial park is only conducive for industrial buildings.
Okay, from my standpoint, from what I've heard tonight, I would go forward with your project and vote for it, based on the information I have tonight.
Okay, any other
I
questions?
just have a couple questions for you, Gary. I
Cindy.
appreciate you providing us with
Thank you.
a concept now, at least, I'm kind of a visual, so I gotta,
Understand.
see what's going on. Is there, with this being I'll say storage for lack of a better word, is there an opportunity for a business to stay in there and become, I'll say retail, where they would have clients in a, I won't say storefront, but,
So
Or is it
we
going to
typically
only be-
in that situation wouldn't see very many retail businesses.
okay, so we're not looking, so there probably isn't a lot of job creation in this concept. It's
There would
more-
be, because I think what you'll start to see is this will be a very cost-effective addition to people that are in other areas, like let's say the Lakeville Industrial Park. If somebody needs a place to set up assembly for a certain product, this could easily fall into an assembly idea.
Okay, all
We
right.
have one of the large furniture mattress companies that are sniffing around town looking for a place to stage and assemble and then move things out. Lonsdale is blessed to be 5 miles or 6 miles off that interstate. You connect Minneapolis to everything down south, right? This is a perfect opportunity for us to get companies that are willing to stage and like, I don't want to say just warehousing, but, if you have somebody that needs to drop, ship, reload, take a truck with different things and move it to different stores, we're in a great traffic route, right? So let's use that to our benefit. We don't know, Cindy, honestly, I don't know who all the tenants are going to be. I think you'll get, in our idea is we're trying to give the little guy a leg up, right? So if I've got to instruct a small electrician who maybe has a buddy who's the heating guy, and they can go in halves and take a 5,000 square foot space, these buildings are set up where we can add a bathroom, we can add an office, we can put in a mezzanine, we don't have to, we can put in floor drains, we don't have to, right? So as they need to custom fit this for their application, they're free to go, right? I mean, we can accommodate them. And they can do it at a price point that honestly, I mean, they can't, where do you go to get a starter? Let's just say you need 2,000 square feet. Try to tell me in town where you can go get a 2,000 square foot building and get it done for $1,000 a month or $1,200 a month. You can't. So this is a great opportunity to get these guys and not just in Lonsdale, you guys have an enforcement problem with people with their trailers and their business cars and trucks and all stuff outside too. You guys are constantly chasing enforcement. It gives those guys an opportunity for a leg up, but even go further, right? I mean, it doesn't matter where the guy's, if he's coming out of New Prague, it's a better connection to the freeway. Maybe you've got a company there that's in a small space downtown that would rather be 5 miles off the interstate than 25 miles off the interstate, right?
Right.
We don't know who that buyer is gonna be, but we will be set up in the market to field those. I know for sure, if I don't get, for the lack of better terms, a model home up, right, something to sell, we're gonna be cutting hay here for 10 more years. If you get, let's get up and see who shows up, and then if the city thinks that's a good user, maybe we end up, in the second building. What typically has happened, where Marty's done this in other locations, is your first user becomes your second customer, and you end up taking that unit back on trade and finding another startup guy, because this guy now needs 20,000 square feet. 5 years ago, he needed 2,000 square feet, right? And we're hoping that's the case. So how much job creation, I don't know, because I can't tell you who those people look like. I am personally terrified of what I see coming just in the country, just on economics, right? I mean, I think we're coming for a not a nice year next year. If we hit $100 barrel oil and $4 gas and double-digit inflation, the only way they're gonna control that inflation is through interest rates. And right now, the cost of construction, as you guys know with your police station or any residential house we're building, you put an interest rate ticker on top of the cost of construction today, it's gonna be painful, right? So it's, we're going at it smart, right? I mean, we're not jumping in too far ahead, we're not leveraging heavy, we're not setting ourselves up for a foreclosed bank building. That's not what we're doing. We're coming at this very responsible, and if we end